Chapter 7. The Manipulator. You need to get out of the house, Daya concludes, staring at me with fear and distress swirling in her sage eyes. I just told her about my mom's visit yesterday. By the look on her face, I can tell that she's well and truly scared for me. I need to finish this manuscript, I argue, my thoughts straying to the massive plot hole I've fallen into. It doesn't seem to matter how many times I press the proverbial life alert, I can't get up. I'm going to have to roll out my whiteboard and sticky notes to map out the plot tonight so I can figure out how to solve the issue once and for all. Sometimes I wish I could just simplify my books and call it a day, but then I wouldn't have the readership I have. Daya snipes, shaking her head at me. Get ready, we're having a girls' night. I slump, the whiteboard and sticky notes going poof. But I don't argue. I'm an indie author, so I publish when I'm ready to. I hardly set deadlines for myself because the pressure suppresses my creativity. I can't write when I'm too ridden with anxiety to get the book done by a specific time. And as great as my readers are, there's always that pressure to get the next book out. Of course, Daya knows this and now wields this knowledge as a weapon. Dick. Groaning, I let her hurtle me up the stairs and into my bedroom, my eyes immediately finding the mirror and chest. They always seem to do that now after finding out what really happened in here. Those two pieces feel like beacons in the room now, glaring at me as if to say, I know who killed her. It doesn't matter that I slapped some black paint on them, the bones are still the same. The walls and floor are smooth black rock now, with white ceilings and large white rugs to lighten up the room. I also installed a heating system in the floors. Otherwise, getting up in the middle of the night to pee and stepping on ice-cold floors would just be cruel and unusual punishment. I decided I loved the sconces in the hallway so much that I wanted a few in my room, too. Placed artfully on the wall my bed is against, surrounding a massive, beautiful art piece of a woman. Straight ahead of the bedroom door is my favorite part, the balcony. Black double doors open up to a terrace that overlooks the cliffside. It has a way of making you feel small and insignificant when you're standing before a sight as beautiful as that. The entire house has now been modernized, though I kept most of the original style. The sconces, checkered floors, black stone fireplace, and black cabinets, just to name a few. Most importantly, I kept Gigi's red velvet rocking chair. I'm living in a Victorian Gothic dream house. We're going to make you look hot and find you a delicious man to take home tonight. And if the stalker comes around, he can kill him too. I roll my eyes. Daya, it's hard to find a man these days that can even fuck right. You think I'm going to find a man that will kill in my honor too? That's cute. You never know, baby girl. Crazier things have happened. The bass pumping through the speakers vibrates throughout my body. My black, ripped, skinny jeans cling to my curves, and the plunging, low-cut red tank shows off my ample cleavage, along with the small, glistening beads of sweat between my breasts. It's fucking hotter than Hades' ballsack, and the alcohol pumping through my veins doesn't help matters. For a solid hour, Daya and I stick close to each other and dance. We both briefly separate to dance with a few men, but I tend to tire of the groping hands quickly and always find my way back to my best friend. Suddenly, a heavy presence crowds into my back, his hands sliding around my waist and pressing in close. A whiff of spearmint and whiskey invades my senses right before I feel his breath on my ear.
You're beautiful,
he whispers, his spearmint gum stinging my nose now that he's closer. I wrinkle my nose and turn my head to see a tall, attractive man leaning over me. He has strawberry blonde hair, pretty blue eyes, and a killer smile. Just my type. I grin. Why, thank you. I respond sweetly. Social situations nearly send me into hibernation, but I've always been skilled at flirting. Too bad most times I can't stand to do it. Men have a unique way of killing my mood every time I come within 10 feet of them.
Come upstairs with me,
he yells over the music. His voice isn't aggressive by any means, but it's not a question either. It's a demand that leaves little room for argument. I like that. I cock a brow. And if I don't? I ask. His smile widens.
You'll regret it for the rest of your life.
The other brow joins its twin, hiking halfway up my forehead. Really? I say demurely. What kind of plans do you have for me that I'd regret missing out on for the rest of my life?
The kind that leaves you naked and sated in my bed.
Bitch, let's go already. Daya cuts in. My head turns to her, but I feel the man's eyes linger on my face, caressing my cheek like a feather tracing across skin. Daya is standing in front of us, impatiently waving her hand towards the stairs that lead to the second floor. She must have been eavesdropping, and she doesn't look the least bit ashamed. When we both just stare at her, she huffs and rolls her eyes. We get it. You're hot for each other, and she doesn't go anywhere without me, so let's go already. She waves her hands at us more urgently, shooing us towards the stairs. The man laughs and seizes the opportunity provided by my dear best friend. Grabbing my hand, he leads me towards the black metal stairs at the back of the club. But not before I shoot Daya a narrow-eyed look, one which she dutifully cackles at. Upstairs is for VIP members only. The stairs lead up to a balcony that overlooks the entirety of the club. It's where the rich, important people drink, staring out at us like a bunch of bugs trapped in a science experiment. The atmosphere up here is darker, denser, and has a vibe that has my instincts flaring red. Walking up here feels like sticking my head into a hornet's nest, and the bastards won't stop stinging until they tire of you, or you're dead. 4 men are draped across a black leather booth formed in a half moon. In the center is a black marble table occupied by several glasses of amber liquid, along with a few crystal ashtrays. There's barely a hint of color in here, the decor reminding me of Parsons Manor. A man eyes the both of us with a predatory and calculated gleam. He looks eerily similar to the man who has his hand wrapped around mine. Same strawberry blonde hair and blue eyes, though this one appears younger and a tad more wicked. The other 3 men are equally handsome, all sporting the same dark and dangerous type. One man appears European with white blonde hair, fair, pale skin, and sharp, angular features. His hooded, icy blue eyes are locked on Daya as hers sweep across the small, intimate room. His gaze is already tracing the dips and curves of her body hungrily. My instincts spike again, telling me to pop the man's eyes out of their sockets and throw them over the balcony. The remaining 2 men are twins with tanned skin, dark hair and eyes, and killer bodies. Their suits can barely contain the muscles threatening to rip the expensive fabric at the seams. One twin has long hair tied back in a bun and several rings adorning his fingers, while the other has his hair cropped close to his head and a diamond nose ring. All 4 of them could easily ruin my life, and I would be hesitant to stop them.
So, you finally grew the balls and got her.
The blonde man says, grinning devilishly at me. He's the only one out of the 4 that isn't eye-fucking us. Honestly, he looks like he'd be far more interested in eating babies for dinner. There's a dark aura around him. If I could guess, the unsettling atmosphere up here derives directly from him. His energy sprouts and festers until it makes you feel like you're trapped in a room breathing in black smoke.
Quiet, Connor.
The man says from beside me, his tone low and full of warning. I nearly roll my eyes. He looks like a Connor. The frat boy that hangs around unoccupied drinks and sneaks his phone under girls' skirts to take pictures.
Ladies, sorry for his rude behavior.
My new friend says, his smile not quite reaching his eyes.
That's my brother Connor, the twins, Landon and Luke, and then Max.
He points to each man respectively, Landon being the twin with the man bun, and Luke the one with a nose ring. I train my gaze on my companion with an expectant brow raised. And your name?
I'm Archibald Talavera III. You can call me Arch.
Sounds pretentious, I muse, smiling at the fact that he gave me his full name. Who actually introduces themselves to a stranger that way? Archibald Talavera III. Just call me your royal hind ass. His brother Connor laughs in response, seeming to agree. Arch opens his mouth, but I cut him off. I'm Addie, and this is Daya. I introduce, pointing towards my best friend. She offers a smile, but her stare is sharp and assessing. She's too keen and intelligent to get sucked into danger like I tend to do.
Nice to meet you, ladies.
Max murmurs, his attention still glued to Daya. Matter of fact, the twins have hardly looked away from her since the moment she walked into the room either. Every bit of me wants to step in front of her and protect her from the prying, feral eyes. But Daya can handle her own, so I stay beside her, ready to attack if needed.
Sit, please.
Arch urges. There's plenty of room on the booth, but the two of us decide to sit on the end, closest to Max. My phone buzzes as soon as my ass hits the soft leather, noticing that Daya has been immediately sucked into a conversation with Max, and Arch is filling up a glass of expensive bourbon. I sneak a peek at the text.
Unknown. Sneaking off with random men, little mouse? If I catch his hands anywhere near you, they'll end up in your mailbox by morning.
My heart stills in my chest. This is the first time he has actually communicated with me outside of an ominous note. My eyes snap up towards the balcony. No one can see us from here. We're too far back from the railing, but yet someone is clearly watching me. But how? And how the hell did he get my number? Scratch that. That was a stupid question. He's a fucking stalker, for God's sake. Of course he has my number. Arch walks over and hands me a drink, a smile on his face. He thinks he's getting laid tonight. Normally he might have, but it looks like I might have to save his life instead and get the hell away from him. An hour passes, and I grow more nervous as each minute ticks by. I haven't received another text, but it's sitting there, weighing down the back of my brain. I fear my brainstem will snap from the tension. Arch's hands definitely touch me. One currently rests on my thigh, dangerously close to my center. I stare down at the star tattooed on his thumb, my mind conjuring images of holding it, without his body attached. Yet I let it happen, even though I shouldn't. And because I shouldn't, I can't stop staring at them, imagining them chopped off at the wrist and bloody, sitting in my mailbox. I don't even have a mailbox. My house is too far back from the road, so my mail is just left on my front step. Shouldn't a stalker know that? What a shitty little shadow.
You having fun?
Arch asks, nudging me with his shoulders. I nod absently as I continue to abuse my lip, trapped beneath my teeth. I should run. I should tell this man to get his hand off of me, if only it means it'll never be severed from his body and left in my non-existent mailbox.
You're tense.
Arch observes quietly. I clear my throat and open my mouth, but another buzz from my back pocket interrupts me. I can feel the color leach from my face. Arch's brows dip with concern, and it reminds me of the poor man that I nearly gave a heart attack by the cliff's edge. He glances down towards the sound.
Are you okay?
He asks, his voice only seeming to quieten further. I'm growing tired of the concerned looks, but yet they feel like lifelines. Like there's people out there that will notice my strange behavior and speak out if something ever happens to me. A news reporter will interview Arch, and he'll speak of how I seemed spooked by a text message. The construction worker who built my porch, his story will be broadcasted and talked about for weeks. A girl standing at the edge of a cliff, seeming to contemplate jumping and then nearly falling off. It all connects to the fact that I had a stalker, and the police brushed it off when I made my reports of random roses. But it won't change anything for the next girl that's being stalked. It never does. In the end, I'll be another statistic, but will fade away as just that. A beautiful girl stalked by an unhinged man, and no one bothered to help her until it was too late. I'm fine, I force out through a stilted smile. It feels wooden and disingenuous, but it does the trick nonetheless. His face relaxes and the concern bleeds away. Or rather, Arch is just letting it go because he doesn't actually care.
Do you want to leave?
He murmurs, his voice now full of promise and intent. His bottom lip disappears between his white teeth, the act in itself primal. The word no is on the tip of my tongue, like a little ballerina dancing precariously at the tip, dangerously close to falling off and breaking her ankle. Because if I say no to this man, I'll spend the rest of my night, week, possibly longer, regretting it. Hating myself for letting a freak control my life and rob me of a good time with a delicious man. He's beautiful, with a shade of darkness surrounding him, that's as enticing and mouthwatering as chocolate cake. There's a promise that I would be ending the night with him entirely satisfied. And what if it evolves into more? What if I'm saying no to something beautiful? Those are a little girl's hopes and dreams, but I can't help thinking them anyways. He looks like a man that I could settle down with, but dangerous enough to keep me excited. Yes, I say quietly, finally. But after I know Daya gets home safely. Arch smiles slowly, salaciously.
I can see to that.
July 7th, 1944. Ronaldo likes to tease. Only an hour after I send Serafina off to school, he comes in and tells me to sit in my dining room chair. I follow his orders eagerly. His fingers whisper across my flesh. When I talk to him, he doesn't respond. He unbuttons my blouse, baring my breasts. Then onto my trousers, he pulls them down and leaves me in nothing but my undergarments. He smiles when he sees the excitement in my eyes, yet he still denies me. He never touches me where I want him to, where I need him to. His fingers taunt me, and then he leaves. And it takes everything in me not to beg for him to come back. One of these days, I won't be able to control myself any longer. Chapter 8. The Manipulator. Daya takes Luke home while I take Arch back to the manor. He asked me to go to his, but I felt much safer at my own home, more in control. In retrospect, I shouldn't take him to a house that sits on a cliff, surrounded by woods and several miles out from civilization. Worst of all, with a stalker that lingers around and likes to break in. God, this was stupid. My house isn't safer by any means, but I couldn't bring myself to go to his place. I don't like being in unfamiliar places with strangers, like I could be walking into a house that I'll never come back out of. It makes me feel far more vulnerable, though I'm in the most vulnerable position I could possibly be in right now.
You have a beautiful home,
Arch compliments, his eyes sweeping over the entirety of the living room and kitchen. I updated the wallpaper to a more modern black paisley, got rid of the tragic gold curtains, replaced them with red ones, and updated the couches to red leather. But his eyes keep drifting back to the black wooden steps as if he knows they lead to my bedroom. Except I have different plans. That's not the best part. I tease, grabbing his hand and leading him down the hallway to my favorite room in Parsons Manor, the sunroom. I don't go back here very often. It's where Nana and I spent most of our time together. It hurts to come in here when the room is still thick with her presence. Breathing in deep, I open the double doors and step inside. This room is a glass box. The ceiling, the walls, everywhere around us is one big window. It's also the best spot to be in. It overlooks the cliff edge, the waters glittering beneath the moonlight. But the most notable part is directly above us. The stars are breathtaking to look at. Out here, we have no light pollution. The night sky is lit up with orbs of diamonds glinting and shining against the black backdrop. Arch's head slowly turns as he takes in the sight before him. And then he cranes his head back, staring up at the sky with his mouth hanging open. I imagine it's one of the few moments where this man has looked unattractive, but to me, it's the most attractive he's been this entire night. He's not concerned with controlling his face and movements, nor is he practiced in following a script. He's just a man in awe of the beauty surrounding him.
Damn,
He mutters finally, his voice deep with wonder. He turns his head back to me, the edges of his eyes round with delight. The blue moons in his eyes are glimmering with an emotion I can't put my finger on. It isn't until that mask slides back over his face that I realize he looked sad, melancholic. And I want to know why, but with the way his eyes are heating like a burner on the stove, I know the opportunity has already passed.
you got something special here.
He says quietly, prowling towards me. The stars have long since faded, and the only thing he can't seem to look away from now is me. I do. I breathe, watching him come closer with bated breath. There's a small tug at the back of my head, an instinctual feeling that reminds me that I'm in a glass box with a shadow possibly lurking outside, provided with a full view of what's happening. Part of me doesn't mind if he's out there. I want to prove something to the deranged man who thinks he owns me. I want to show him he doesn't. The only person who will lay claim to my body is who I allow. I'll let Arch's hands touch me, hands that will trace every inch of my skin, followed by his mouth. I'll let his tongue lick my pussy until I'm sated, right before he fucks me until I no longer know my name. I'll let him, because I said he could. Arch towers over me, molding his front to mine and pinning my breasts against his chest. My breath stutters as warmth envelops me, his arms circling tightly around my waist and locking me against him. I like the way he feels pressed against me, the softness of my body molding against the hard ridges of his. It feels nice, good. Arch stares deeply into my eyes for a brief moment, and then he tilts his head and gently captures my lips between his. I sigh, his soft lips moving against mine rhythmically, like the water at the bottom of the cliff, swaying against the rocks. I moan into his mouth, needing more and deepening the kiss, prying his lips apart so I can dip my tongue inside. He growls, his restraint slipping. His other hand sweeps into my hair, angling my head better so he can plunge his tongue in my mouth, exploring skillfully with little control. I rise on my toes, pressing further into him. Shuddering at the feel of his hard cock digging into my stomach, the length of him only intensifying my desire. He's not small. And that's really what I need tonight, something that will blind me with pleasure and leave me breathless and satisfied. His tongue fights against mine, swiping and licking as his teeth nip at my lips. Another moan slips free, bouncing in his mouth until he matches it with his own groan. The hand in my hair tightens, jerking my mouth away, giving his lips freedom to trail down my jaw and descend to the juncture between my neck and shoulder. I gasp when I feel his teeth scrape against my flesh, a small warning before he bites down. Sharp pleasure sends my eyes to the back of my head, and a long moan slips free.
Fuck.
He curses, licking at my neck with a feral groan.
That sexy voice of yours.
My eyes flutter as I succumb to the pleasure his tongue and teeth are drawing out of me. His hands drift lower until I feel a firm tug on my jeans. The button pops open a second later, followed by the low purr of my zipper coming undone.
Is your pussy wet for me, Addie?
Arch asks on a low growl, nipping a tad viciously at my neck. It smarts and I can't help but wince from the pain. His tongue smooths across the bite mark, soothing the sting. Yes, I whisper, as pleasure begins to override the pain. His hand slithers down the front of my jeans and thong, his fingers drifting lower until the tip of his middle finger dips inside me. A low, deep growl arises when he feels just how truthful I was being.
Fuck, baby, that's it. Let me hear you sing now.
And then 2 fingers are plunging inside of me, curling to hit that spot. My vision blackens and a yelp of pleasure is my only response. It's the only thing I'm capable of. Instinctively, I roll my hips, grinding into his hand. He withdraws to the tips before driving them into me again. And again, until he's fucking me with his fingers and all I can do is hold on, my nails biting into his suit jacket. Long, husky moans are drawn from my throat, singing for him just the way he asked.
You sing so pretty.
He whispers in my ear. A sharp nip follows his words. The heel of his palm presses firmly into my clit. His skilled fingers lift me higher, the orgasm curling low in my stomach. But then he rubs just right, making my knees quake from the pleasure. Oh! I moan, my breathing erratic and breathless.
Do you sing pretty when you come, Addie?
He asks in a dark whisper. I think I nod, but I can't be sure because within seconds, my head is kicking back as my release builds to a fierce point.
Let me hear it.
He coaxes. His fingers slide out, and when they plunge back in, a third finger joins. My eyes roll and I plummet over the edge. I cry out, the sound breaking from the pitch as deep-seated pleasure consumes me from the inside out. Shamelessly, I grind against his hand, riding out the endless waves.
Such a pretty bird,
He murmurs, satisfaction tightening his voice. Breathless, but somehow even hungrier, I lift up on my toes and crush my mouth to his. He hums his approval, spearing my lips apart with his tongue. Then his hand drifts up and breaks the kiss with a digit drifting across my bottom lip, spreading my arousal.
You've left a mess on my hand, Eddie. It'd be rude not to clean it up.
I hold eye contact while my tongue darts out, the tip sliding across his finger. He smiles wickedly, prompting me to open my mouth wider. Just as his finger goes to slide in, an icy feeling washes over me. It feels like the waves I was drifting in have turned angry and are ramming my body into the unforgiving rock. My mouth stalls and my eyes dart over his shoulder. It's dark in here, save for the moonlight and bright sky, but it feels like I'm in a room filled with stadium lights. A movement straight ahead turns my heart upside down and sends it crashing to the pit of my stomach. He's out there. I can't see him or even make out his silhouette, but I know he is. I can feel him. Noticing the change, Arch pulls away, breathing heavily and looking at me like he can't decide if he wants to ask if I'm okay or just keep going anyway.
What's wrong?
He asks, grabbing my biceps in an attempt to grab my attention. Nothing. I rush out, bringing him closer. Let's go upstairs to my room instead. I'm no longer feeling cocky enough to fuck a man in front of a crazy person. The high from my release has completely dissipated my confidence, but I'm too stubborn to stop. I want Arch. I just don't want any voyeurs while I take him.
You don't want to get your pussy eaten under the stars?
He asks incredulously, looking at me as if I've grown a second head. I do, but I trail off when another movement draws my attention away. Arch steps forward, pressing against me and pulling my attention back to him. I have to crane my neck to see him properly, and the sight is one I'll never forget.
I think you should strip off your clothes and show me that sexy little body of yours. Then I want you to lie down, spread your legs, and let me clean up the mess you made.
An entirely embarrassing squeak slips out, a sound that immediately brings a smirk to his face and blood rushing to my cheeks. The creep momentarily forgotten. Real smooth, dipshit. I take a step back, heat slithering across my body as I drift my hands down my sides and took both thumbs into my jeans. Just as I go to slide them down my legs, a loud bang disturbs the charged silence and sends my heart flying to my throat. I yelp, startled and way too close to pissing my pants from the angry knocking. Arch's head snaps toward the sound, clearly just as startled.
Expecting company?
Arch asks, his voice a tad breathless. My own erratic breathing is uneven as I say, No. It's fucking deja vu, and even though I saw it coming this time, I'm incredibly close to stomping my foot like a child. Unlike with Grayson, I was actually enjoying myself. He rushes back into the hallway and down towards the front door with me hot on his heels. I'm buttoning and zipping my pants as I go, already sensing that this night is over. The hallway leads straight back to the foyer, the entryway to the right of the staircase. Pausing before the entrance, he turns to me and grabs a hold of me.
Stay in the hallway. Whoever it is, I don't want them seeing you.
He hesitates, a weird look passing on his face. Before I can decipher it, he's speaking again, his voice strained.
Call the cops if shit goes south.
I'm not capable of stringing together a coherent sentence, the panic stealing my sense. I should have told him I have a stalker, and I thought I saw something when we were in the sunroom, but everything happened too fast. And now he's actively putting himself in danger. The situation turns me on just as much as it terrifies me. I need to check myself into a mental hospital if I survive this night. Because my shadow is pissed. Just like he was when Grayson was here, and I have no idea how dangerous this guy is, but he could be here to kill us both. Especially now that he watched another man make me come with the very hand he threatened to cut off and put in my mailbox. I drop my head in my hands, instant regret filling up my body like a waterfall in a lake. I'm bursting with it because if the stalker is as insane as he says he is, then I just possibly got a man killed. Or at least brutally mutilated. I hear the door creak open. My head snaps up in response.
Come on out, fucker. I know you're out there.
Arch threatens loudly. Peeking around the corner, I watch Arch step outside, but not before he pulls a gun out. Eyes bulging, my mouth falls open, and I wonder just who the hell I let in my house. He shuts the door behind him, the resounding click of the door echoing in my head. Looks like I was wrong and did happen to find someone willing to kill for me. Jury's out on the fucking part, but if his foreplay is any indication, I think he would have done well in that department too. Now more than ever, I want to kill this creep myself. I finally find a man capable of satisfying me, and this asshole is ruining it. God, I know we don't always agree on my life choices, but please don't let this poor man die because of me. I'll stop drinking. I mean it this time. And I also pray that Arch has good aim. If I walk out and find the weirdo with a bullet in his skull, I won't mourn his death. For the next several minutes, I hear nothing at all. It's hard to when my heart is pounding in my ears, but there would be no mistaking a gunshot. Fuck, I can't handle this suspense. No longer capable of waiting, I rush over to the window beside the door and peek out. Arch's car is still sitting in my driveway, but I don't see anything else. No bodies. Nothing. Shooting a quick prayer to my least favorite person at the moment, I open the door slowly, listening for any sounds of distress or fighting. When I'm greeted with nothing but the chirping of crickets, I open the door wider and step out. The crunch of something under my foot cements my body into stone. I close my eyes, another prayer on my tongue. If I stepped on a body part, oh my God, I'm going to freak. Taking a few short breaths, I move my foot away and look down. A rose, the petals crumpled from my foot. Oh, fuck, I mutter, bending down to pick up the rose. The thorns are snipped, preventing it from cutting me, but it doesn't matter. This rose has not been deprived of one's pain. Dripping off the petals and onto my boot is fresh blood. Arch is gone, and all that's left of him is a bloody rose. Yanking my phone out of my back pocket, I unlock it to call the cops, hands trembling. The phone lights up, and that's when I see another text. The one that came through in the club, and the one I dutifully ignored.
Unknown. Don't feel guilty, baby. I don't make idle threats, so consider this a lesson learned.
Red and blue lights brighten the world before me, and the flashing colors make me feel sick. Dread is pooling in the pit of my stomach while police officers and dogs search the surrounding area. An officer has confiscated the rose, yet the blood has stained my hands, physically and metaphorically. I rub my fingers together, watching the dried blood flake from my skin. A tear escapes, but I quickly wipe it away. I killed a man. I brought him here knowing someone dangerous was lurking, and I did it anyway. And now he's gone.
Ma'am, I need to ask you a few questions.
Sheriff Walters says, walking towards the porch steps that I'm currently sitting on. I've known him since I was a child. He went to school with my mother, and they were good friends. Every now and again, she'd invite him over for dinner. He's always been kind. Quiet and soft-spoken, he always seemed more interested in listening than speaking. He's a tall, built man, towering to at least 6'7". I think his family descends from giants because his father and brothers are just as freakishly large. His father was a sheriff, and his father before. Pretty sure a couple of his brothers are cops, too. One big family of gigantic cops. Just what the world needs, right? Scruff peppers Sheriff Walters' cheeks, and his brown eyes are tired and wary. I already gave the rundown to the responding officer, but when I told him a man was missing and I was gifted a bloody rose, he was more concerned about getting a search party going. Considering dense woods surround me, it's likely the man took Arch on foot until he managed to get him into a car somewhere and drive off. I sniff, wiping snot from my nose and nodding my head. Yeah, sure.
Can you give me the name of the man who was with you here tonight?
Archibald Talavera, I answer robotically. I guess Arch being pretentious and giving me his full name paid off. I almost smile, yet it's anything but funny. The sheriff doesn't speak right away. I glance at him and note his bushy black eyebrows are raised high on his forehead.
Talavera, huh? This man might have done you a favor,
He says, muttering the last part. What? I squeak out, the corners of my eyes rounding. The sheriff sighs and runs a hand through his thick, dark hair. In his younger years, I'm sure he was attractive. But now, silver is invading his hair, and wrinkles line the edges of his eyes and mouth. He looks aged and weathered, and over the years, I've watched his eyes grow dull and tired.
The Talaveras are known criminals,
He informs me. My eyes pop, and in that moment, I realize my mother did a terrible job raising me. My life choices are questionable at best lately. I'm going to need to have a long, hard talk with the she-devil from above. She's been trying to kill me off, I think, and I'm starting to wonder if I should just let her. What kind of criminals? Sheriff Walters twists his chapped lips to the side, seeming to contemplate what he wants to say.
Nothing has been proven, never any sufficient evidence, but they deal in cocaine primarily. Allegedly.
He tacks on at the end, side-eyeing me.
What I can say is Archibald has been accused of domestic violence by his ex-wife several times. He's gotten out of the charges unscathed, of course, but he's known to be a very violent man.
I turn my head and cover my face with my hands. Sheriff Walters pats my back awkwardly, assuming I'm crying, but my eyes are as dry as the Sahara Desert. I'm too angry to cry, angry at myself for being so stupid and taking a random man home. Angry for getting that man killed, a man that is connected to a dangerous family. Will his family come after me?
No.
He responds, sharply.
That family has a list of enemies a mile long. They're not going to concern themselves with a random girl. They might look into you, but when they don't find anything, they'll start looking into whoever they pissed off.
I nod my head, slightly assured by that.
That is, if they don't find out about the rose.
My heart sinks like a rock into a well. I lift my head and look at him, catching on to his meaning.
That rose was personal, Adeline. Do you know what it means?
I have a stalker. I've made several reports lately about my house being broken into and roses popping up everywhere I go. The sheriff's brows scrunch.
I looked into your file. There are no reports made about a stalker.
My spine snaps straight as shock blasts through me. What do you mean? I ask, my voice shrill and angry. I've made several.
Calm down,
Sheriff Walters says, splaying his hands out in a gesture that matches his words.
I will take a deeper look when I get back to the precinct. Can you tell me now what's been going on?
Forcing my heart to slow, I relay everything that's been happening. With the random glasses of alcohol being drunk while I was home alone, the roses, and the note card with the ominous threat. Sheriff Walters listens tentatively, pulling out a notepad and taking notes as I speak. When I'm finished, I feel even more exhausted than before.
I'll look into it, but Adeline, you understand that if the Talaveras find out you have a stalker, they might place blame?
I rear back, completely baffled that a cop is warning me that a criminal family could come after me. But he's never been one to sugarcoat or hide truths. On several occasions, my dad would ask details about certain things, and the sheriff would always divulge whatever he was allowed to. There were a few times Mom had to snap at the two men for grisly conversations at the dinner table, in front of a child, no less. Sheriff Walters would apologize, but he never actually looked sorry.
I'll do everything in my power to stop that from happening,
he assures. Somehow, that doesn't make me feel any better in the slightest. Sighing, I turn away and stare out into the dense trees, the red and blue lights flickering and creating a shadow dance party. I nod my head, accepting his help for what it is. This man isn't going to be able to do a damn thing to stop a criminal from walking up to my doorstep. Whether it's a crime family or a fucking stalker. September 10th, 1944. I haven't seen Ronaldo in 3 days. 3 days of wondering where he is if something happened to me. My thoughts spiraled. John and I got into a fight. He says I've changed. that I'm no longer the woman he fell in love with. I'm distant now. When he wants to have sex, I'm not interested. I've begun to feel like my marriage is wrong and dirty. I've begun to feel like I'm cheating, but not on my husband. It feels like I'm cheating on my visitor. There wasn't much I could say to assure my husband I still love him, other than those 3 words. They've begun to feel empty when I say them. Based off the hollowness in his eyes, those 3 words have begun to feel hollow to him too. I'm losing my husband, slowly but surely. And I'm ashamed to admit that I don't mind that too much.
Chapter 9. The Shadow. I've committed homicide, cold-blooded murder, on many men who have worn different faces of the devil, and I've done it for various reasons, whether they raped a child, killed an innocent, or destroyed someone's life that didn't deserve it. But I've never killed someone out of jealousy. First time for everything, I guess. Archibald Talavera has his lips on my girl and his hands down her pants. He's touching her, fucking her with his fingers, saying dirty things to her that elicits a pretty little blush of color to her cheeks. And at that moment, I decided he wasn't going to live tonight. The second I saw them together, it took all of my control not to storm into that club and drag her ass out of there. Because not only was another man trying to lay claim to my girl, but Archibald Talavera is a fucking psychopath, a real one. He beat his ex-wife to a bloody pulp on several occasions and made her life a living hell when she finally decided to divorce his ass. The woman is still in a psychiatric hospital receiving treatment for severe PTSD. He literally broke the woman, and while she spends her days trying to heal from his abuse, he spends his nights in clubs and picking out a different woman to take home and fuck. Last I heard, he's not a nice fuck either. His form of rough play isn't pleasurable by any means when the woman walks away with a bloody nose and a busted lip. The asshole deserves to die, and I'm happy to get the fucking honor. This man and his family's crimes were small crumbs in the grand scheme of things. His family gets involved in petty crimes and sees themselves as Seattle's mafia, but they're ants compared to the fucking dinosaurs walking around in this city. I've left them alone because there are much bigger fish to fry than low-life criminals who think they're crime lords. Their threat to humanity is minuscule compared to the people I track and kill. And until they start trading in more than just powder, they've never been on my radar. Until now, that is. There's no stopping Addie from opening her mouth and telling the cops she has a stalker. Doesn't matter that I've destroyed all evidence of her police reports. And if the Talaveras get wind of that, they'll kill Addie for something way out of her control. It doesn't matter that the family has enemies. Any possibility will be eliminated when they find that the heir of the Talavera Empire has been murdered. So tonight, I'll rid Seattle of the little pests that have been congregating so I can focus back on the bigger things, making Adeline mine and dismantling the pedophile rings. I crack my neck, storm over to the front door and bang my fist into the wood as hard as I can. I pour all my anger into it, not giving a fuck if I crack the wood beneath my fist. Just like the night that small dick asshole was here, running out of the house naked with only one sock on, cursing Addie's name. I was relieved to see Addie kicked him out herself. It was the only reason I didn't kill him that night, but it doesn't mean I didn't cut out his tongue for the names he called her. She still isn't aware of that since I ran him out of town and forbade him from contacting her again. I duck back in the shadows beyond the porch. I know Archie's type. He'll come storming out, ever the savior for the damsel in distress, ready to take on the big bad wolf like he's not the old granny about to get eaten. Really, he's just a rabid fox posing as a wolf. His bite hurts, but nothing compared to that of a real predator. Right on cue, Archie whips the door open, his hands wrapped around a gun. "Come on out, fucker. I know you're out there." "Come get me, Archie." He hesitates on the doorstep, sensing the danger residing in the shadows. But after a few moments, he develops a vagina and charges out the door and down the porch steps. His head turns, his eyes widening as he catches a glimpse of my face with a single red rose in my mouth, the stem caught between my teeth. I bare my teeth, a feral grin that would chill even the devil. Before he can react, I dart out, grab his arm, and twist him around. My hand slaps over his mouth as I pull his back to my front. Twirling my knife, I stab him twice in the stomach, both precise areas that won't cut through vital organs. He grunts beneath my hand, the shock rendering him mostly silent. Before the situation catches up to him and he starts shouting, I push him off of me and deliver one sharp punch to the back of the head. Done in a matter of 10 seconds, not a single peep out of his mouth. My arm snaps out and I catch him by the back of his suit jacket before he can faceplant to the cold, muddy ground. Out cold and bleeding profusely. I need to staunch the wounds before he loses too much blood. But first, I slide the rose from my mouth and dip the petals in the crimson, spilling from his wounds. Can't have my little mouse thinking there aren't consequences for letting another man touch what's mine. She'll find out soon enough that I don't make idle threats. I rest his body against the porch for a second while I walk up and throw the rose at her doorstep. I'm too pissed to do much else. And then I grab his body and start the brief trek through the woods where my Mustang awaits. By the time the cops get here, it'll be too late. A blood trail will lead them to tire tracks, and they might be able to narrow down the make and model based on the tread impressions, but the evidence will run cold after that. It will all be destroyed soon enough. The cops won't know which direction to look, and Archie's family will assume their enemies caught up to him. And they wouldn't be wrong. They just won't be able to guess who until I'm standing in front of them with a knife in their necks.
Let me the fuck go, you fucking prick! You think I'm someone to mess with? Do you have any fucking idea who I am and who my family is?
His mouth is going to be stapled shut in 0.2 seconds if he keeps running it. That I do know. I relay this to him and he answers with a hyena laugh. I turn and clock the fucker in the mouth, all the while keeping my Mustang straight. Colorful words follow, but they're no brighter than the blood pouring out with them. Pretty boy isn't so pretty now. He's going to experience a lot worse once I get back to my place. He laid his mouth and hands on my girl, and there's consequences for silly mistakes like that. He woke up about 5 minutes into the drive. 2 strips of fabric from his shirt are tied tightly across each stab wound on his abdomen. His hands and feet are hogtied. There's not a chance of him slipping free of those. I've had too much practice. He's been running his mouth since the moment he awoke, and it's been grinding my gears into dust. He throws out empty threats like bullets, but instead they're paper in the wind. None of them make an impact. In fact, they don't land anywhere near me. It's the mention of Addie that sends me into a murderous rage.
Come on, man. Are you this worked up over a piece of ass? Her voice may be cut out for porn and her pussy tight as fuck, but shit, you can find that in other bitches too. I've fucked plenty of them.
What was going to be a fairly slow death is now going to be the slowest death to ever happen since the dawn of humanity. It was bad enough that he spoke of my girl in such a disgusting manner, but then he went and topped it off by implying Addie isn't anything special. She's the first of her kind to exist, and there will never be another like her. I pull into the driveway leading into my warehouse. It's a smaller structure, used to manufacture cameras for some shitty company that went out of business within 5 years. The building was foreclosed on, and I bought it for dirt cheap, and then spent hundreds of thousands of dollars transforming it into an impenetrable fortress. I converted the main floor into my living space with state-of-the-art security. An ant will not be able to find its way into the building without me knowing about it. The second floor is my workspace, dozens of computers and illegal technology that make it possible to do what I do fill the space, and the basement is where I handle all of my business.
meaning where I take the pedophiles to torture and kill them when they have information I need. I built an underground garage that drives straight into the basement. Makes for an easier haul when I got a 6'2" dickhead to carry to the table. I'm a big man, but I'm just as capable of throwing out my back as the next person. I'm still a human fucking being. Shutting the garage door behind me, I turn the car off and twist around. I sigh at the sight. Usually I'm more prepared when I kidnap people. They go in the trunk, and I don't have to worry about getting my car dirty. But by the time I carried him back to my car, I was in a hurry and just threw him back there. He's already got blood everywhere, and I'm going to have to pay my cleaning crew extra to get those stains out. With that amount of blood, anyone would ask questions. But they get paid way too much to ask stupid questions that'll get them killed. We can do this the easy way, or the hard way. I can knock your ass out, or you can be a good little bitch and stay still. His bloody mouth forms around the word fuck, and it doesn't take a genius to know what word is going to come out next. I punch him in the nose before he can get the first syllable out. The crunch of bone beneath my fist is nearly orgasmic. By the time I'm pulling my fist away, blood is squirting from his broken nose. He spits, and a tooth flies out of his mouth and onto my floor. I'm going to shove my foot up his ass just for that. I get out, round the car, and swing open the door. He starts protesting, but the words become garbled when I grab him by the collar and drag his ass out. With his limbs tied up, he feels every drop and bump as I drag his body out of the car and haul him towards the table. He squirms like a worm on a hook, and I can tell by the panicked look on his face that he has that feeling. The sinking feeling that his life is balancing on the edge, and I'm about to fucking Sparta kick him off. Despite his struggles, I wrangle him on the surgical table and systematically untie specific ropes so I can strap him to the table while simultaneously keeping him immobile. He looks over and sees a dead Fernando lying on the other table. After I saw Sicily off, Michael dropped Fernando off at my place while I went to Parsons Manor to snoop around. Addie and her friend were leaving, so I followed them to a club. It took all my willpower not to put a bullet in every man's head that grinded their dick against her ass. I decided to go home and take care of business before I did something stupid and actually kidnap her. While I interrogated Fernando, I set up a monitor and kept an eye on Addie through the club's cameras. I'll admit, my torture methods became a lot bloodier once I saw Archie lead her up the stairs. I got the information I needed from Fernando, their process for extracting girls, names of some of the mules, and the name of who Fernando reports to. Turns out the guy is in Ohio, so I'm letting one of the other mercenaries handle him. He'll get the information on his boss and work our way up the chain. The mules have already been located and targeted, so after I'm done disposing of these two fucks, they'll be getting a sniper shot to the head, then on to Archie's family. "The fuck, man?" Archie spits, both terror and disgust evident in his tone. Fernando's face has started to bloat. I shrug, unbothered. I have a lot of bodies to dispose of tonight. It'll be easier to dispose of them all at the same time. "Look, whatever my family did, we can work out a deal," Archie negotiates, his words a little garbled and misshapen from his broken teeth. His nose is already swollen and bruised, along with his split, puffy lips. He looks as if he went 5 rounds in a boxing match with his hands tied behind his back. "I don't have any connections with your family," I say calmly. "At least not until now." He's silent for a beat, staring at me incredulously as his brain processes that I'm not an enemy of the Talaveras. "Then why the fuck are you doing this? Because of that fucking girl?" he asks, his voice hysteric. I lean close, letting him get a good look at my scarred face. If it's not the scars that warn people away, the deadly glint in my eyes usually does the trick. "She fucking wanted me. Not my fault that your girl doesn't want you." I sigh and straighten. I'm not going to bother explaining myself to this prick. He won't understand my obsession, and I don't give a shit enough to want him to. What he doesn't know is that the minute I properly introduce myself to Adeline Riley, she won't be able to think of anyone else. I will devour her from the inside out until every intake of breath will only stoke the inferno I've created inside her. Like oxygen feeding a fire, I will consume every inch of her sweet little body until she will think of nothing else but how to get me deeper inside of her. She'll fear me at first, but that fear will only ignite her, and I will be all too fucking happy to deliver the pain when she gets too close to the flame. Next to me is a tray of utensils lined up neatly. Without looking away, I grab the first tool my hand lands on. A serrated screwdriver, specially made for torturing. The military uses shit like this, unbeknownst to the public. Not that the government would ever willingly tell the country that they torture war criminals often and use pretty fucked up methods to do so. The public isn't ignorant by any means, but they sure as fuck don't know the extent of the depravity of our government either. His eyes widen comically when he catches sight of the screwdriver. I smile. Haven't gotten to use this one yet, I observe, twisting the screwdriver and giving us both a good view of each sharp point. Once this sucker goes in, it's going to hurt even worse taking it out. I can't fucking wait.
Bro, let's talk about this. That girl is not worth you killing me over. Do you realize what my family will do to you? To her?
Did you really think I was going to kill just you? I volley back, quirking a brow to show how unimpressed I am with his warning. His face turns beet red, like the apples my mother used to pluck for me from the orchard as a kid. Always loved those things. Threats spill from his mouth, fueled by rage from his family's untimely fate.
You're doing this because I almost fucked a girl. I didn't even fucking know she was yours.
He bellows, veins popping from his forehead. Not a pretty sight. In response, I stab the screwdriver straight into his stomach. He gapes at me, his mouth parted in shock. A moment passes, and then he's coughing up blood. An array of emotions filter through his eyes. Pretty sure I see the 5 stages of grief in there, too. I bend down and grit out through my teeth. What you and every sad motherfucker that even looks in her direction will learn is no one is safe when it comes to her. I don't care if you only breathed in her direction the wrong way. You will fucking die.
You're fucking crazy,
he chokes out, looking down at the screwdriver sticking out of his abdomen in disbelief. Definitely hit vital organs this time. Slowly, I pull the screwdriver out, the suctioning noise quiet against the backdrop of his scream. The unbridled anger pulsating through me is relentless, unstoppable, and the image of his hand in her pants, kissing her, whispering shit into her ear and making her come. It all fuels the violent storm in my head. I plunge the screwdriver back in when the image flickers of her face. Wanting him back, climaxing for a shit stain like him. I'll have to erase his touch from her, and soon. I rip out the screwdriver and take a deep breath. I have to remind myself she doesn't know me yet. She doesn't understand what true need is. Not yet, but she will. Because she's going to hate the way she needs me. She's going to fight it, rebel against the craving, and attempt to search for something else that makes her feel even a fraction of what I will. She'll never find it, and I won't let her try. Cracking my neck, I take another deep, calming breath. My temper got the best of me. I'm not usually a reactive person, but I've already accepted the fact that my little mouse brings out new feelings in me too. How many women have you hurt, Archie? I ask, licking my lips and circling his body until I disappear from view. It's an intimidation tactic for the weak-minded. Makes them nervous when I vanish behind them for that brief moment. Their minds get away from them as they anticipate what I'm going to do, and then they get a little relief when they see me again, just to repeat the process. It's torture in itself, not knowing if I'm going to strike or when.
Do not call me Archie,
he snaps, seething as I stand behind him. He's tense. I circle back to the front and his shoulders loosen just an inch. You're evading the question, Archie. I point out, deliberately using the name. He snarls at my defiance, but doesn't reply. His mother always called him Archie, up until she died of breast cancer when he was 10 years old. That's when his father lost it and started dealing drugs to make money to pay off all the medical bills and funeral expenses. He raised his children to be cold and ruthless, and Archie here never let anyone call him by his mother's nickname without stabbing them. He stabbed a lot of people for calling him that name, including his best friend Max. His buddy complained about it a time or two in a bar Jay frequents. Don't make me ask again, I warn, my voice lowering to convey just how serious I am.
I don't know,
he shouts, frustrated.
A couple, I guess. The fuck does it matter?
I read up on your ex-wife, I say, ignoring the stupid fucking question. You beat her so badly she was barely recognizable when she was taken to the hospital. Evidence indicated that you broke a tequila bottle against her face and then stabbed her with it, not to mention the countless broken bones and bruises. You nearly killed her. Archie sniffs, not the slightest bit of remorse reflecting in his cold eyes. The narcissistic assholes never are. Somehow they twisted in their head that the victim deserved it, and whatever injuries inflicted upon them were their own fault.
She was cheating on me,
he replies petulantly, pouting like a child that didn't get a birthday cake. Did you cheat on her first?
That doesn't matter,
he snaps back.
She's the wife, and I make the money. If I feel like buying a stripper for a night, that's my goddamn right. All she ever did was sit at home on her lazy ass and spend my money.
I nod, accepting his answer for what it is. Would you have hurt Addie? I ask after a pregnant pause. He scoffs.
I would have fucked her how I like to fuck. If she ends up with a couple of bruises, so what? Bitches like that shit. They like it rough.
Renewed anger punches me in the chest, and it takes all my self-control not to plunge this screwdriver in his eye right then and there. Archie wouldn't know how to have proper rough sex if he was given a fucking manual for it. He hurts women because he enjoys it. He doesn't know how to push women to the edge of pain and pleasure, balancing between the two and making them desperate for more. He just hurts them. By the time he's done, the girl is thoroughly bruised and traumatized, maybe even bleeding, and he's walking away with a satisfied smirk on his face, as if he was the first man to prove a woman orgasming isn't actually a myth. You didn't hurt Addie, I observe, waiting for the answer I know he'll give. He isn't desperate enough yet, scared enough. He's still attempting to put on a false bravado act and die with dignity, but that will change very soon. He smirks.
You gotta relax them first. The plans I had for her.
He trails off, licking his lips vulgarly.
Her cries would have been such a beautiful song.
Again, I nod my head in acceptance of the answer. I accept it because it fuels exactly what I have planned for him, and I'm very much going to embody his method for sex. I will enjoy hurting him and making him bleed, and him, he will wish he had never met Adeline Riley.
Chapter 10. The Manipulator. Have you heard anything? I interrogate, my phone growing slick from the persistent anxiety since Arch went missing from my doorstep. No one has been able to locate him, Daya answers through the phone. She's been looking into Arch's disappearance herself since I told her what happened last night, never one to rely on the police to solve anything. But Daya doesn't have much to go off of. She hacked into Arch's known enemies' systems, their cameras, phones, laptops, and the GPS on their cars. Just like we suspected, they had no connection to Arch's disappearance. At least, not that we could find. It was my shadow who took him. And without having any idea who he is, there's really no way to find Arch. I can't believe this is happening. I practically got this man killed, I say, tears pricking at my eyes. Babe, I hate to say this, but I don't think that's the worst thing that could have happened. I think this guy would have really hurt you. The things he did to his ex-wife, they're unspeakable. He wasn't a good man. None of those guys were. She trails off, and I don't need her words to know she's thinking about Luke. She said they had an incredible night together, but she ghosted him the second she found out what kind of guy Arch was. She said anyone who is friends with a man like Arch isn't a nice man themselves. Can't really disagree with that either. I take a deep breath. I know you're right. I guess I just don't like that he was hurt, maybe killed because of me. I would have much preferred one of his many enemies caught up with him. Yeah, that would have been the best-case scenario, she allows. The best-case scenario would have been a wild night of hot sex with a hot guy where I orgasm multiple times and then send him off on his merry way. I interrupt. She pauses a beat before saying, Yeah, you're right. But that's not what would have happened. Not with this guy's history. He's violent. Well, apparently, so is my stalker. I know, which is why I'm hooking you up with a security system. You're not going to be another statistic, not more than you already are. If you die, I have to follow, and I'm quite attached to my body. God gave me a good one this lifetime. I roll my eyes at her dramatics, especially because she's not even religious. Okay, just bill me for it. I agree. I like the idea of having cameras in my house. It makes me feel better about someone sneaking around when I can't see them. I'll be over later to set them up. Getting cameras will be the first thing to happen in a month that gives me any semblance of safety, no matter how fragile it is. I'm just finishing up another chapter when I hear the USPS truck pull up. The mailman has always been a pretty nice guy. He doesn't stick around long and spends most of his time glancing around nervously. The last time I asked him about it, he said something evil happened here, and since a man went missing off my doorstep last night, I'd say several evil things have happened here. I open the door just as he's dropping off several cases of books. I have to sign these and get them shipped out to my readers. 8 large boxes later, the mailman is panting, sweat running down his light brown face. Thank you, Pedro. Sorry for all the boxes, I say, waving awkwardly. He waves a hand in acknowledgement before getting back in his truck and shooting off. I sigh, staring at the boxes with a look of dread. These are going to be a bitch to haul in. I step out, but my foot knocks into the corner of something heavy. Looking down, I notice a small, lidded cardboard box. There's no shipping label on it, which means Pedro didn't drop this one off. My heart plummets, a burst of anxiety hitting me right in the gut. I don't know why, but my eyes dart towards the woods, as if I'm actually going to see someone standing there. I don't. Of course I don't. Sucking in a deep breath, I pick up the box, and then nearly drop it when I see a smear of blood where the box was sitting. Oh, fuckity fuck, God! Please don't allow this to happen to me on this fine Sunday morning. Please let me not find what I think I'm going to find. I pray out loud, my voice cracking as a drop of blood lands on my toe. Hands shaking, I set the box back down and just panic. There's a drop of blood on my toe. I knew there was blood on my hands already, but now my toes? I can't take this. Before I can think about what I'm doing, I tip the lid off with my foot. Hands. Severed hands are in the box, just like I feared. Oh, fuck me. Fuck this shit. I twirl and run back in the house, scrambling to find my phone to call Daya. The line rings for all of 2 seconds before she answers. I'll be there in a few hours. Daya? What happened? She asks sharply. A hand. And another hand, 2 of them in a box on my porch. She curses, but my panic mutes the sound. Don't do anything yet. Wait till I get there, Daya orders. Go take a couple of shots and wait for me. I nod, despite that she can't see me, but it doesn't stop me from nodding again and then hanging up without a word. I do exactly as she says, taking 2 shots of vodka to calm my nerves, and then take deep breaths, slowly in and out until my racing heart calms. The fucker actually did it. He sent me Arch's hands. A part of me knew he wouldn't lie, but somehow I didn't believe it anyway. Shit, I mutter, dropping my head low between my shoulders, balancing my weight on the edge of the counter. 20 minutes later, Daya shows up, her car ripping through the driveway based on the squealing tires. Her car door slams shut. By the time I get to the door, she's approaching my gift, still sitting on the porch, her gaze riveted on the grotesque sight. This guy is fucking deranged, Daya spits, picking up the box to inspect the hands closer. Definitely Arch's too. He's got that stupid-ass star tattoo on his thumb. I blink, curious how she even knows that, but still too much in shock to open my mouth and ask. There's a note in here, she mumbles, plucking out a piece of paper covered in blood. Carefully, she opens it. It takes her 2 seconds to read it before she's sighing and handing it over. Hesitantly, I reach out and grab the note by the corner that doesn't have blood on it.
While I will enjoy punishing you for every time you call the police, let's hold off this time. Wouldn't want to have to hurt them next, little mouse.
Is this guy shitting me? He's going to punish me? Don't you think sending me fucking severed hands is punishment enough, asshole? He's seriously going to threaten to kill a cop? I hiss. Daya swallows, her eyes darting to the hands. I think you need to listen this time, she says quietly. I look up at her, having come to the same conclusion. This guy is dangerous, very dangerous. As much as I want the police to handle this, there are 2 problems. I don't have any faith whatsoever that they'd be able to catch the guy, and secondly, I don't want anyone else to get hurt because of me. I don't know if I will be able to bear it. I don't know what to do, Daya, I whisper, my voice cracking. Daya sets the box down and rushes to me, enveloping me in a tight hug. I have a friend coming over to help install the security cameras and alarm system. Listen, normally I would say call the cops anyway, but I don't know, Addie. You know how I feel about cops as it is, but I truly don't believe they will be able to help you. I have some connections, and maybe we can hire a personal bodyguard or something. I'm shaking my head before she can finish her last sentence. So he can die too? She gives me a droll look. This isn't just going to be some guy off the streets, Addie. Whatever you're up against, they can't be more badass than a trained killer, right? Maybe, I concede. But I don't know about any of that yet. Having a bodyguard follow me everywhere just makes me feel like a damsel in distress. I can tell by the look on her face that she thinks I'm being stupid. I mean, I do have a hand-chopping, possible murderer stalking me. But then what? I have some random guy following me around until my shadow is caught, and who knows if that'll ever happen. I grind my teeth, overwhelmed with frustration. I don't want to live my life with an extra attachment, an extra limb. And in both scenarios, I have one. One is there to protect me, while the other is there to, I don't know, hurt me? Love me? Either way, I don't want either of them. Do you think Arch is dead? I ask, failing to keep the tremble out of my voice. She twists her lips. I don't know. It's definitely a possibility. But it's also possible he chopped off his hands and let him go as a warning. We won't know until Arch either shows up or doesn't. I nod. I'll let you know about the bodyguard thing. Let's just see how this alarm system thing works out first. Okay. In the meantime, I'm going to dispose of these hands. I'll be back in an hour, and then we're getting hammered. My eyes widen. Daya, you don't have to do that. This is morbid enough, and I don't want you to have to... The severity of her expression stops me short, my words trailing off. I see worse every day, Addie. Go inside. I'll be back soon. Swallowing, I nod and turn towards my door, shooting one last lingering look at my best friend's retreating form. wondering what the hell she's involved in if she sees worse than chopped up body parts every day. They're all dead. The words are a bomb going off in my ear, like that judge in Law-Abiding Citizen. What? Arch's entire family was reported dead. His father, 2 brothers, an uncle, and 2 cousins. I don't know the details because the crime was fucking smooth as hell. No witnesses, no evidence, nothing. Oh my God. Do you think it was the stalker? She sighs, and even through the phone, I know she's twirling her nose ring. That's a pretty hefty crime, but not impossible. There's been word that when Arch was reported missing after you called the police, Connor started throwing some serious accusations around to their rivals. The police seem to think it was them, but with lack of evidence, there's no one to pin it on. I squeeze my eyes shut, a headache blooming in my temple. So, the stalker did kill Arch then? Probably. She hedges. If Arch made it back home before the family was wiped, he would have said who mutilated him, and Connor wouldn't have gone off on their rivals. So, I think it's plausible that Connor's accusations are what got the rest of them killed. There's so many emotions swirling in my head, and I can't make heads or tails of what I'm feeling. I'm fucking horrified that my shadow murdered somebody. But he was an evil man. That shouldn't matter, should it? And to be perfectly honest, I think his true intentions for killing Arch were because he touched me, not because of his crimes. Honestly, Daya, I'm a little relieved. Arch's family won't come for me now, and I feel so selfish saying that. Then we're both selfish bitches because I'm happy as hell. I snort at her enthusiasm. Look, the Talaveras were bad people. Arch wasn't the only one with a bad history. Connor had rape allegations against him, and their father must have taught them how to rape and beat a woman because his rap sheet, even worse. I nod my head, forgetting she can't see it. I certainly won't mourn their deaths, I mutter. After that, we hang up, both needing to get some work done, but my mind keeps wandering. Truly, I'm not sad to hear about the fate of the Talaveras, but there is still that niggling worry in the back of my head that my shadow is the one who delivered it to them. It's been a week since Arch went missing, and still no sign of my shadow. Not to say he still isn't sneaking around, but he hasn't made his presence known. Daya's friend set up my new alarm system and cameras, and I'm ashamed of how obsessive I've been with checking them since. The naive part of me is hoping now that I have a security system he'll stay away. But while I make a lot of stupid decisions, and I mean a lot, I'm not stupid enough to believe he isn't going to show up here soon. I stretch, groaning as my muscles crack, the bar stool in my kitchen doing little to support my back while I write. I've been working on a new fantasy novel about a girl escaping slavery, and the deadline I set for myself is quickly approaching. Right as I begin typing again, a creak from above snags my attention. The sound immediately has my heart kick-starting into overdrive. I pause, listening for any more noises. Several beats pass with no disturbance. The only sounds are the furnace and the low pattering of rain against the window. Just when I begin to think I'm losing my mind, I hear another creak from directly above me. Holding my breath, I slowly get up from the stool, the metal legs screeching against the tile. I wince, the eruption loud and unpleasant. Well, god damn it, good thing I didn't become a spy. I would so die on the job. Quickly, I walk over to the silverware drawer, slide it open, and grab the butcher knife. Holding this weapon is starting to become a daily routine, and I'm becoming bored with it. I don't stop to think about what I'm doing. I clamber towards the stairs, whip around the railing, and quietly make my way up the steps. Briefly, I consider the movie title of the horror movie they'd make after my life. Making my way down the hall, I peek into open rooms, holding the knife out in front of me. The hallway is long and wide, with 5 of the bedrooms up here. Just as I step out of one of the empty bedrooms, I hear a small thump. It sounded like it came from my room. With bated breath, I creep down the hallway, holding all my weight on my toes. No fucking idea how ballerinas do it. My bedroom door is shut. Adrenaline steadily releases into my bloodstream, like injecting heroin in a vein. It wasn't shut before. I stand outside my door, staring at it as if it's going to grow a face and warn me of what's inside. That'd totally be beneficial right now, because not knowing what I will find on the other side is the worst part. That's what makes my heart pound viciously in my chest and tightens my lungs. Will I open the door and see the shadow from my nightmares going through my things? My eyes widen, realization hitting that the sick fuck could be going through my underwear drawer. The thought sends a tsunami of anger washing over me, and before I can consider the ramifications, I barrel through the door. No one is inside. I charge through the room, checking every corner before storming out onto the balcony. No one. Chest heaving, I whip around and scope out the room, trying to figure out where an intruder could hide. My eyes pause on the closet. I aim for it, sliding the door open so forcefully it nearly comes off the track. My arm lashes through the clothing, searching for someone that isn't here. But I know I heard something. My breath catches when I turn, and my eyes sweep across my bed, forcing me to backtrack. Right under my bed is Gigi's diary, lying on the floor and flipped open. That must have been what the thump was, but how the fuck did it fall? My blood freezes when I look on my nightstand and see the diary I've been reading still there. I had put Gigi's other 2 diaries in my nightstand for safekeeping until I got to them, so how did one of them end up on the floor? With another suspicious sweep of the room, I walk over to the book and pick it up, leaving it open. Skimming my eyes across the page, I pause when I take in the words. Judging by the dates, it's the last book she wrote in before she died. The 3 books span across 2 years, Gigi having died on May 20th, 1946. The book was open on an entry 2 days before Gigi's murder, May 18th. She's expressing fear, but she doesn't say of who. Clearly, she's terrified of something. My heart thumps harder as I ingest her rushed words. She talks about someone being after her, scaring her. Who, though? Forgetting about everything else around me, I sit on the edge of the bed and flip to the beginning. With each passing entry, her words become clipped and fearful. Before I know it, I'm nearly ripping through the pages, trying to find any inkling of who her murderer is. But on the very last page, her last words are, "He came for me." No lipstick kiss on the page, just those 4 daunting words. I turn the page, looking to see if there's more, desperate for it, actually. There are no more entries, but I do notice something strange. A jagged piece of paper sticks out from the spine. I trace my fingers over it. A page has been ripped out of the diary. Did she write down something important and decide it wasn't worth the risk of anyone knowing? All 3 of these books are risque, full of cheating and sex, above all, full of love for a man that stalked her. I look up, staring ahead but seeing nothing. When Mom left, she left with the hopes that I'd listen to her advice and move out of Parsons Manor. But when she walked out of that door, the sickening smell of her Chanel perfume lingering in my nostrils, I decided I didn't want to move. Did Nana have a weird attachment to the manor? Possibly. But if this house meant so much to her, it doesn't feel right to give it away. Even if that means I have an unhealthy attachment too. And now that decision is only solidifying. There's no way this book could have ended up on the floor. Yet it did. And I don't know if it was Nana's doing or Gigi's, but someone wanted me to read these entries. Do they want me to find the person who killed Gigi? God, I can't imagine how difficult it would have been to solve a murder in the 40s with such underwhelming technology. Is her murderer even still alive? Maybe it doesn't matter if he is or not. Maybe Gigi wants justice for her murder and for the man that ended her life too soon to be exposed, dead or alive. I exhale a shaky breath, my fingers tracing the 4 daunting words. He came for me. Can you please explain to me why you're making me hack into the PD's database to look at crime photos of your murdered grandmother? Daya asks from beside me, her fingers hovering over her mouse. I'm tempted to reach over and push her finger down for her so she'll finally click the damn button. Once she does, it'll pull up Gigi's records. I sigh. I told you already, she was murdered, and I think I know who did it. Well, I don't know anything about him but his first name and the fact that he stalked her. Daya eyes me, but eventually relents. She clicks the mouse finally and pulls up Gigi's crime scene photos. They're pretty disturbing. Gigi had been found in her bed with her throat slit and a cigarette burn on her wrist. They never found the killer due to insufficient evidence. A lot of blame pointed towards the officers that responded to the call, citing that they trampled all over the crime scene. Evidence was lost or contaminated by the police force, and fingers were pointed. But ultimately, no one was held accountable for it. Daya clicks through the photos, each one more disturbing than the last. Close-up pictures of the wound on her neck, the burn on her wrist. Gigi's face frozen in fear as her dead eyes stare back at the camera and her signature lipstick smeared across her cheek. I swallow, the sight a stark contrast to the picture that concealed her safe. Her wide, smiling face so full of life and fire, and then her dead, cold body frozen in fear. Whoever had killed her had scared her pretty bad. A niggling feeling tugs at the back of my head. Based on Gigi's entries, her stalker didn't scare her. In fact, it sounds like he did the exact opposite. I shake the thought from my head. He was obsessed with her, and there were several entries nearing her death that indicated they weren't getting along due to his jealousy over her marriage. His obsession must have been of the deadly variety. Daya then clicks over to the police reports, not just the ones released to the public, but documents from the investigation that were confidential. Technically, the investigation is still open. It's just gone cold. We took our time reading through the documents, but in the end, the only thing we learned was the time of death and the fact that Gigi fought, and fought hard. My great-grandfather, John, was immediately ruled out due to having several eyewitness reports seeing him at the grocery store during the time of the murder. I bite my lip, the thought eliciting guilt, yet I can't help but think it. What if he was still an accomplice? I shake the thought from my head. No, there's no way. My great-grandfather loved Gigi, despite the fact that their marriage was falling apart at the seams. It had to be her stalker. It's the obvious explanation. The stalker gained Gigi's trust somehow, made her feel comfortable enough that she relaxed around him. And then he killed her. There has to be significance to that ripped-out page, I murmur, growing frustrated from the lack of evidence. I could never be a detective and do this shit every day. Maybe the killer did it, Daya guesses, scrolling mindlessly through the pictures. I twist my lips, considering it before I shake my head. No, that wouldn't make sense. Why would they rip only one page out and not just dispose of all the journals? They're all incriminating, whether it was the stalker or someone else. Gigi speaks of being hunted. And if it wasn't the stalker, then they could have easily pinned the blame on Ronaldo and been done with it. Whoever it was, they can't have known about these. Gigi had to have ripped the page out before hiding the books. Daya nods her head. You're right. Whatever is on that missing page is important, but we can't rely on that. We need to figure out who Ronaldo is, I conclude. Daya nods her head, appearing a little exhausted from the thought. Can't say I'm not either. And we have nothing to go off of. There's no mention of his last name, barely any physical description. He had a scar on his hand, I offer, recalling mentions of those things in Gigi's diary. And wore a gold ring. Did she mention his social standing, job, anything that could lead us to who he might be? I twist my lips. I'll have to look again. I remember she said he was involved in something dangerous, but I haven't gotten the chance to read through everything yet. She nods and heaves out a weighted sigh. Until then, I think we're going to be stuck until we find Ronaldo or that missing page. I sigh, my shoulders drooping. That could literally be anywhere, or it not even exist anymore. Daya looks at me then, sympathy in her eyes. We'll keep trying different avenues. I'm just as invested as you at this point. I shoot her a grateful smile before looking back at the crime scene photos. This was undoubtedly a crime of passion, and if I know anything, stalkers tend to be deeply passionate about their obsessions. I bolt upright, a gasp lingering on the tip of my tongue. Sweat coats my skin and my hair is plastered to my cheeks, neck, and down my back. I can't remember what I was dreaming about, but something woke me. Heart pounding, my sleep-riddled eyes drift over the dark room. Just enough light from the moon filters in through the balcony doors. The furniture casts shadows across the room, creating figures that aren't really there. I don't mind the phantoms dancing across my floor, but whatever woke me has a presence, a soul. The floorboards creak from my right, outside my bedroom door. My head snaps in the direction, and I suck in a sharp breath. The hair rises on the back of my neck, like a scared dog backed in a corner. I hold the air in my lungs, careful not to make a sound should I hear the noise again. Stillness settles around the house. Too still. My fingers clench the duvet on my lap as my heart rate increases. Someone is outside my room. But how? How the fuck did he make it past the alarm system? Another creak followed by heavy footsteps. A methodical walk, slow and purposeful. Intentional. I slowly slip out of bed and tiptoe backwards until my back presses against the cool stone wall, creating distance between the intruder outside my door and me. Despite my best efforts, I release a shaky breath. My chest heaves with small, fast pants as the footsteps come closer. I'm frozen. My back is pressed so deeply into the stone that I'm becoming a part of it, preventing me from moving, from hiding. The footsteps stop outside my door. Desperately, my eyes search across the expanse of the room. They land on a lone screwdriver sitting on the chest at the end of the bed. I had carelessly tossed it aside after assembling my vanity chair, and now it sits there like a beacon of hope. Possibly the only thing that could keep me alive tonight. Move, Addie. God damn it, move! My limbs unlock, and I rush to the screwdriver, gripping the tool in my slick hands. My eyes are glued to the door handle, waiting for the knob to turn. Quietly, I slink over to the door and mold myself to the wall. I'll wait for him to come in and then attack. Hopefully, I can get the screwdriver lodged in his neck before he knows what's happening. So with bated breath, I wait. The knob doesn't turn, but I can feel deep in my bones that someone is out there. Are they waiting for me? They're out of their mind if they think I'll open that door. I suppose they must be, though, if they're breaking into my house and lingering outside my room. The longest minute of my life passes. It feels like it's been hours before I hear another creak, and then I hear the footsteps retreat. Further and further they fade, until eventually I no longer hear them at all. My ears prick, and just like I suspected, I hear my front door shut. A soft click that feels like thunder in a silent house. Instantly, I rip open the door and run across the hall into the bedroom with windows that face the driveway. Hunkering down, I peek through the curtains and wait for the person to emerge from the front porch. It feels like an eternity passes, but I imagine it's only been seconds before I see movement. An audible cry leaves my lips when a large man saunters off the steps and walks out onto my driveway. He's wearing all black, with a deep hood settled over his head. He's tall, very tall, but not bulky. Even beneath his clothing, I can tell his body is fucking lethal, lean but packed with muscle. His hoodie clings to his body, showing off his broad shoulders, thick arms, and trimmed waist. God, he could crush me if he wanted to. His hand looks big enough to cover the entirety of my face, or wrap around my neck. Would he do it to cause pain or pleasure? Does my shadow want to hurt me or love me? He stills, his back facing me. He can feel me watching him, just like I felt him outside my door. I find myself curling deeper into the shadows, out of sight. My heart is still racing, though now for an entirely different reason. Something about him has me wanting to press my face into the window. I want to see him. I want to see the man that's been creeping inside my house, leaving me flowers and mutilating any unsuspecting soul that dared to touch me. Was his hand on the knob, ready to come in? What stopped him? As if hearing my thoughts, he cocks his head slightly. Intently, I watch him slowly turn his head to the side. And ever so slightly, he raises his chin, the moonlight revealing his wide mouth and a sharp jaw. I huddle deeper into the wall, feeling his eyes on me. There's no way he can see me. Yet somehow I feel his gaze piercing me anyway, like little sharp knives grazing my skin before digging inside me. And then he smiles, his mouth stretching into a wicked smirk. My breath hitches and my lungs fill with fire. Oh, this is funny to you, asshole? Before I can process what to do, what I'm feeling, he turns and walks away, disappearing into the tree line. Slow and purposeful, as if he doesn't have a care in the world. September 18th, 1944. He came back. Ronaldo came back. He was bruised and hurt when he did. Cuts marred his beautiful face. Bruises discolored his skin. I was so excited to see him I threw myself at him. Only then did I notice the grunt of pain. I nearly cried when I saw his hurt. He couldn't tell me what happened, but I think the distance got to both of us, because I lied with another man. A man that was not my husband. And I'm finding it very hard to find the regret. There's shame, I feel that, but not regret. In fact, all I want to do is do it again. Chapter 11. The Manipulator. Daya said Nana was the freak, but I'm starting to wonder if it was her mother that was the freak. I skimmed through the diary, reading over her words. I'm sitting in the same rocking chair Gigi used to sit in to write in her diary while her stalker watched on, while she let him feast his eyes on her and got off on it too, apparently. Snapping the book shut, I throw it on the footstool before me, the furniture rocking from the movement of the heavy book. I sigh heavily, pinching the bridge of my nose to ward off the blooming headache. I mean, what was she thinking? Letting a strange man watch her, come into her home and touch her? That's insane. Certifiably insane. What's truly insane is the fact that I found this diary and a stalker found me on the same night. I don't want to think about what that means. The wind blows outside the window, rattling the glass. Storm clouds are rolling in, the ever-present weather that plagues Seattle like bad acne. Just when you think we're going to have a lovely sunny day, a storm cloud pops up, ready to burst. Okay, gross, Addie. A loud thump sounds from the kitchen, causing me to nearly jump out of my seat. Heart pumping heavily in my chest, I look towards the direction and find nothing amiss. Hello? I call out, but no one answers. Attempting to even my breathing, I turn back right as movement from the corner of my eye snags my attention, right outside the window. My head snaps in that direction, and my eyes zero in on whatever it was I just saw. It's nearly pitch black outside, save for the moonlight and a single light outside my front door. Another flash of movement causes me to nearly plant my face against the glass. It's a person, walking towards my house, having emerged from between two large trees. My eyes narrow into thin slits as the person's shape becomes more apparent. He's back. After 2 nights of nothing, the son of a bitch actually came back. My hand drifts over to the end table next to me, snagging the butcher knife I've been carrying around with me since he broke into my house last. Turns out my security cameras are useless with him. The second he left, I checked them just to find out that they didn't catch sight of him. When Daya looked into it, her face dropped, and her eyes went wide with terror. He spliced the cameras, hacked into them, and made it appear as if nothing was happening while he was walking through my house while I slept. She said not only did he splice the camera feed, but he did it so well it was untraceable. The only reason Daya was even able to come to that conclusion is because she knows how technology works, and she does the same thing herself for her job. This guy is dangerous, in more ways than just his violent tendencies. I grip the handle in my fist and settle it on my lap. As he nears, my heart pounds in my chest, matching each step he takes towards me. I stand and close in on my window. I don't know what I'm doing exactly. Provoking him? Daring him to come inside my house again? If he does, I have every right to defend myself. The man stops about 20 feet away, his face once again hidden deep in a hood. He widens his stance as if getting comfortable, plunging a hand into his hoodie pocket and pulls out something I can't see. It's not until I see him flick a lighter, defining his impossibly sharp jawline and a cigarette sticking out from his mouth. He lights the cigarette, and then the flame goes out, leaving nothing but his moonlit silhouette and a blaring cherry. He stares, and I stare back. Without looking away, I grab my phone from the end table. I listened to him and didn't call the cops when he sent me that fucked up box of hands, but he didn't say I couldn't call them when he's standing 20 feet outside my window. I look down to unlock my phone, and when I glance up, my thumb freezes. The moonlight spills over his silhouette, and with perfect clarity, I watch him slowly shake his head at me, warning me not to do what I'm about to do. I glance at my front door, fear steadily trickling through my body at an alarming rate. It's locked, but he's already proven that it's futile. I calculate the distance between him and the door. How long would it take him to run to it, break through, and get to me? At least a solid 30 seconds. That's enough time to dial 911 and tell them someone is trying to hurt me, right? But it would be pointless. It's going to take the police no less than a half hour to get to me. As if hearing my thoughts, he takes a few steps closer, his hand periodically pulling the cigarette from his mouth as he puffs. Is he challenging me? My spine snaps straight, and white-hot rage fills my vision. Who the hell does this dude think he is? Growling under my breath, I storm to my door, unlock it, and whip it open. He turns his head to face me, and for a moment, I almost develop a brain and run back inside. Steeling my spine, I angrily stomp down the steps and charge towards him. Hey, asshole! If you don't get off my property, I will call the cops. Later, I'll ask God why she made me the way that I am, but right now, all I can do is plant 2 of my hands on his chest and push when I get close enough. I don't allow myself to register the defined muscles under his hoodie, because only psychos would focus on that right now. The behemoth of a man doesn't move back an inch, nor does he speak, or react, or do anything. Harsh, angry breaths huff from my nose like a bull as I glare at the hooded man. I can't see much of his face except the bottom half, but I can feel his eyes burning into me. Soon, my body will smolder until there's nothing left but ashes dancing in the cold wind. What do you want from me? I hiss, curling my hands into fists, only to abate the shaking. My whole body has begun to vibrate from anger and fear, but also from something else. Something so disturbing I refuse to put a name to it. He doesn't answer, but he does grin. A slow, sinful twist of his lips that sends sparks skittering down my spine. With deliberation, his tongue darts out and licks his bottom lip. My eyes zero in on the movement, the act primal, animalistic, and fucking terrifying. My heart starts to claw its way up my throat. Swallowing it back down, I narrow my eyes and open my mouth to yell at him some more. Before I can, he takes a single step back. And though I can't see it, I know he's giving me a once-over. Then he turns and walks away. Just like that. Not a single word spoken, not an explanation offered. Not even a crazy confession of how he wants us to be together or some shit. Nothing. I stand there and watch his retreating form, going back to whatever portal from hell he crawled out of. I stare until he's gone, and I begin to contemplate if I really have lost my mind and just imagined the whole thing. Surely I wouldn't be so stupid to confront a psychopath. The very psychopath that cut off a man's hands and left them on my doorstep. But that's precisely what I did. And he did nothing in return except lick his lips at me like he plans to feast on me. Oh no. What if I have a second coming of Jeffrey Dahmer stalking me? Heart back in my throat, I turn and rush back inside, feeling like Lucifer's hounds are nipping at my ass cheeks. And when I shut and lock the door behind me, I look back to the rocking chair I was sitting in and see the knife lying haphazardly on the floor, next to the footstool. Oh my God. I confront a psycho and I drop the knife on the ground instead of bringing it with me. God, why did you make me the way that I am? Next lifetime, can you not do such a shitty job? As a reward for finishing my manuscript and sending it off to my editor, I'm treating myself to a nice murder investigation. Daya sent over more notes that she found from the PD's database. Emails pour in by the minute with more details. Most of it is handwritten reports by men with atrocious penmanship. And with the mishandling of the crime scene, we essentially have nothing to go on. My great-grandfather mentioned in a report that she was acting strangely for several months leading up to her death. She was distant, not as talkative, paranoid, short-tempered with Nana, and she was late picking her up from school several times with no explanation as to why. Gigi wouldn't talk about it with her husband, which led to several arguments between them. In the reports, he admitted their relationship had been declining for the past 2 years. He had begged Gigi to talk to him about her change in behavior, but she claimed nothing was amiss. I spend hours dissecting Gigi's diary entries, looking for hidden meanings in everything she wrote, searching for the entries where she expresses fear and discomfort. But whatever scared her so much that she couldn't even write it out in words. Part of me wishes these journals had been found during her investigation. I might have never gotten to read them if they had been, but maybe then they might have been able to solve her case. I sigh and run my hands through my thick hair. My shoulders are starting to burn from my hunched-over position, and my eyes are growing bleary from all the reading. A headache blooms in my temples, worsening my vision until I can't see or think straight anymore. I sit back in the rocking chair and look out the window. My strangled scream pierces the air when I see the stalker is back, standing in the same spot as before, puffing on his stupid cigarette. It's been 3 days since I confronted him, and I've been on high alert ever since, waiting for him to break in again, and this time come into my room while I'm sleeping. My heart lobs around in my chest, pumping erratically. A low heat sparks in the pit of my stomach, my mouth drying as the burn descends between my thighs. I'm glued to the chair, panting from the heady mix of fear and arousal. My cheeks burn from shame, but the feeling doesn't dissipate. I should close the curtains, do myself a favor and cut us both off from our silent war. But for some unknown reason, I can't get myself to move, to pick up the phone and call the police, to do anything that would classify me as intelligent and having common sense. Those things are non-existent as I stare out at the man. Whatever ghosts haunt these walls are no longer relevant, not when there's something much more dangerous haunting the grounds. As if the ghosts heard me, light footsteps sound from above me. I turn my head and lift my eyes to the ceiling, tracking the phantom footsteps until they fade away. And when I turn back, my stalker is a few feet closer, as if he's wondering what I'm staring at, questioning what could have possibly turned my attention away from him. He's wondering if it's another man, I'm sure. Maybe he thinks Grayson is back, occupying the house somewhere, calling out for me and asking me to join him in my bed, naked and hard for me. Maybe he even thinks we just fucked. My thighs still slick with another man's seed. Does that piss him off? Of course it does. He mutilated and killed a man for touching me. What would he do to a man for fucking me? What would he do to me? Doesn't matter that it's the furthest thing from the truth. The fact that those thoughts could be running through his head and driving him crazy brings a small smile to my lips. Just to fuck with him, I turn my head and pretend to shout something out. "What are you doing?" I say aloud, aiming my words towards a ghost that'll never reply. Looking back at my shadow, I see him pull out his phone, the blue light getting lost in the depths of his hood as he looks at something. Several seconds later, he tucks it away in his pocket, slides out another cigarette from the pack, and lights it up. Chain smoker. Gross. He sticks around for another 15 minutes, and during that time, I scarcely look away. It feels like a game almost, and I've always been a sore loser. I'm thinking, Jesus, I don't have to travel for this book signing event. Another big romance author is hosting it, and luckily it takes place in good old Seattle. A thin layer of sweat coats my skin as I look myself over one last time in the mirror. "You've done a million of these, girlfriend. You're going to be fine," Daya assures from behind me. I'm wearing a flattering red blouse that shows off my body nicely without looking too racy or inappropriate, and ripped black mom jeans. I painted my lips red and slipped on comfortable checkered Vans. My cinnamon hair is curled into loose beach waves, completing the casual but chic look. I don't usually like to dress up for these things. I'm sitting in a chair all day, so I make sure to look nice enough to take pictures with and leave the rest to comfort. I sniff my armpit, double-checking that my deodorant didn't lie to me and doesn't fight against tough odors. I know, but it doesn't make them any easier, I grumble. What do you call yourself? Daya asks, quirking a brow at me. I sigh. A master manipulator? Why? I roll my eyes. Because I manipulate people's emotions with my words when they read my books, I grouse. Exactly. So that's all you do, except your mouth says the words instead of your fingers. Fake it till you make it, baby. I nod my head, looking at my underarms in the mirror from all angles. My deodorant may claim to fight tough odors, but the shirt didn't come with a tag that said it was pit stain resistant. Sighing again, I drop my arms. It's not that I don't love meeting my readers, I just don't do well in crowds and social situations. I'm too awkward. You're also a great liar. That's what you do for a living. Just smile and pretend you're not having one big panic attack. Another roll of my eyes as I grab my purse from the bed. You're such a great pep talker, I say dryly. She snorts in response. Daya sucks at pep talking, and she knows it. She's the logical person in our friendship, while I'm the emotional one. She's all about offering solutions, while I'd rather roll around in my dread and anxiety and wax on about it. Guess I'm more like my mother than I thought. I'll still never admit it out loud. The event is a blast, as usual. Every time, I work myself up for these events, and I always end up never wanting to leave by the time they're over. Getting the chance to meet up with other author friends and attempting to run away with all their signed books while laughing maniacally is what truly brings me peace in life. What truly brings me happiness is seeing the many smiling faces eager to meet me and get signed books of mine. I love my career as a professional manipulator. I'm fortunate to do what I do. I'm a tad tipsy from getting drinks at a bar after the event, so Daya is driving me back home in my car. We laugh and giggle over funny moments and even gossip about the crazy drama that always circulates the book community. We're riding a high from having such a good time, but our smiles bleed dry as she pulls up to the house. A lone light is on, shining through the bay window. I turned off all the lights before we left. I go to scramble out of the car, but Daya's firm grip around my hand stops me. He could still be in there, she says urgently, her grip tightening almost painfully. He fucking better be, I growl, wrangling my arm from her grip. I slip out of the car before Daya can try to stop me again and charge towards the manor. Addie, stop! You're being stupid. I am, but the alcohol has only made my anger more potent. Before Daya can stop me, I'm unlocking the front door and barreling into the house. A single light is on over my kitchen sink, too weak to illuminate the front of the house properly. No one is waiting for me, so I start flipping on lights to diminish the ominous tone in the air. Come out, you freak! I yell, storming into the kitchen and grabbing the largest knife I can find. When I turn, Daya is standing in the doorway, looking around the room with an alarmed expression on her face. I was so intent on killing the bastard, I didn't even bother to look around. The entire living room is covered in red roses. My mouth pops open, and the words on my tongue stutter and evaporate. I turn and spot an empty whiskey glass sitting on the counter, a dribble of alcohol at the bottom of the glass, and a distinct mark on the lip. Lying next to the glass is a single red rose. My widened gaze clashes with Daya's. All we can do is just stare at each other in shock. Heart in my throat, I finally choke out. I need to check the rest of the house. Addie, he could still be here. We need to call the police and leave, now. I bite my lip, two halves warring inside me. I want to look for him, confront him, and stab him in the eye a few times. But I can't endanger Daya more than I already have. I can't keep being stupid about this. Relenting, I nod my head and follow her out of the manor. The brisk air doesn't even penetrate the ice settling in my bones. What else did he do? A snarl forms when I realize that he probably went into my bedroom, touched my underwear, maybe even stole some. The operator's voice cuts through my thoughts. I was so zoned out I hadn't realized Daya called the police for me. She describes the situation, and after a few minutes, the operator dispatches an officer and lets us know it'll take him 20 minutes to get to us. I know the stalker isn't here anymore. I know it in my bones. But I'm hoping he's a criminal and in the system. That way his DNA from the whiskey glass will identify him. But just like I know he's no longer here, I know it won't be that easy to catch him either. "Come home with me tonight," Daya says. We're both tired and stone-cold sober after talking to the police for 2 hours. They searched the house, and he was nowhere to be found. They did take prints from the whiskey glass to see if they could get a match. I'm exhausted, so I nod my head. Her house is 20 minutes away, and it's a good thing I tailed her the entire time, or else I might have lost focus and drove without direction. Daya lives in a quaint house in a nice, quiet neighborhood. She parks the car, and we both slump our way into the house. Her house would be fairly empty if it weren't for the furniture and the thousands of computers everywhere. She takes her work seriously, and while she doesn't talk much about her job, I know she deals with some pretty heavy matters. She's mentioned before that she deals with the dark web and human trafficking, and that alone is enough to give someone night terrors. Apparently, her boss is strict with keeping the details confidential, but there's been times where Daya has looked more haunted than Parsons Manor. When I had asked what she gets out of it, she had said saving innocent lives. That was all I needed to hear to know that Daya is a hero. "You know where the guest bedroom is," Daya says, lazily pointing her finger in the direction. "Do you want some company? I'm sure you're really freaked out." I force a smile. I love you for offering, but I think we both just need sleep right now, I say. Daya nods, and after wishing me good night, retires to her room. I flop on the white duvet in her guest bedroom. Just like the rest of her house, it's pretty bare in here, light blue walls decorated with a few oceanic pictures and white gauzy curtains. My eyes snag on those. Not the curtains themselves, but what's in between them. For the second time tonight, my heart lodges into my throat, pulsating against my voice box and preventing me from making a sound. Outside the window is the silhouette of a man, staring directly at me. I take a step back, ready to turn and call for Daya. When my phone buzzes, I flinch, freezing me in place and nearly choking me on the fear. Keeping one eye on the man, I slide my phone out of my pocket and see a new text message.
Unknown. You didn't like my flowers?
November 19th, 1944. I can't get enough of him. I'm embarrassed to even admit it. It's been months, but yet it feels like each time is new. Frank and John are going fishing today, and I'm ashamed to say that I can't wait until they leave. Despite my change in attitude, John hasn't suspected me of cheating. It's terrible, but I don't regret this love affair. Ronaldo makes me feel beautiful, cherished. Something I haven't felt since before I had Sarah. He treats me like a woman, not someone to do his bidding and make him food. And certainly not like fine china, but a woman who loves to be properly ravished. I try my best not to think about it when John is home. I can't seem to control the smile on my face. And it's been so long since John has made me smile, I fear he'll grow even more suspicious.